welcome to the Mindset Michelle TV show. And it's so exciting to have you here for another episode of this incredible show. And we're extra excited today because we're going to have the fabulous Sean Buchanan on the show. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And it's so wonderful to have you on the show today. For those of you that may not know Sean, he's this incredible young man with lots of skills, experience and expertise. And he's also a mindset coach. So I'm extra interested in hearing his insights into how you can create a mindset for success as well. It's not every day we have a mindset coach on, so I'm really excited about that. But as you can see, Sean has a very healthy glow about him, and that's because part of his background has been as a personal trainer. But before I go too much more into the show, Sean, do you want to share some of your insights and backgrounds with the people that are viewing?
Yeah, thank you. And hello to everybody. So my background when I started into as my career was a personal trainer. And I've been a personal trainer for over 10 years now. And I'm now recently teaching. So I teach Certificate 3 and 4 in fitness. So the future personal trainers of Australia, which is fantastic. So those are the two things that I do. And I also obviously coach as well, mindset, as Michelle was explaining. So that's what I do at the moment. And where that came about with regards to my mindset coaching was when I was a personal trainer. I really got involved, or really interested, I should say, in understanding why people don't do what they want to do or want to achieve. And that really led me down a path of psychology and education in and around the mindset. So that's a little bit of what I've been doing and what I'm doing now.
Fabulous. And it is interesting because if you ask any of the Jenny Craigs or Noom or places like that, then you would actually see how much mindset and how your brain works and what your thoughts and feelings are influence your ability through the physical fitness as well. But before we get into more of that, what do you think with those insights from, coaching people that were trying to get healthier or release weight, or insights from your own background through schooling, etc.? What do you think success now means to you?
Yeah, well, I'll start with what I used to think success was and then what I think of it now. When I started getting into personal training, and I was working through some personal development and actually, enjoying personal development, whether it was videos from Jim Rohn and Eric Thomas, and then obviously books as well, I started to write my goals and have my plan of where I wanted to go. And one thing that I had on my wall was a vision board. And on that vision board were things like cars and houses, with big pools and, money and these sorts of things like that. And I think that's what I sort of linked it to, what success was, and just not understanding. And what happened was I never really felt attached to it. I had it there and I looked at it and I sort of read all the things that I wanted to attain, but I just never had that sort of beating heart of, yeah, this is motivating and I want to do that and I want to be consistent with the work that I'm doing to get that. So that was what I thought success was. Now, for a long time, I've really put myself into a position where I think more about purpose and what my purpose is, and what I'm trying to work towards with regards to my coaching, and trying to find that purpose and really bring it to the masses. And that purpose is really about helping people. And I think that really moves me a lot more than what it used to, from what I used to think success was. So I believe that that's what success is for me. As we know, success is different for everybody, but it's about fulfilling that purpose. First of all, finding it, but then fulfilling that purpose. And I understand purpose as being for others. How can I serve others? And how can I help them move towards what they're looking for their own success?
Fabulous, and such an eloquently and beautiful way of expressing it, and also tying it into your journey, which I think is really amazing and shows your depth of understanding around this as well. And seeing success for you as being around knowing your purpose and then helping others to find their purpose and to connect with it is a really, truly beautiful calling. And you have such an eloquent way of putting it. So well done to you. And with that knowledge and that background and that understanding, What sort of tips and things do you share then with people around creating that successful mindset for themselves? What sort of things would you suggest to people?
Yeah, I think the first thing in terms of purpose, the why. Why is it that you want to do what you want to do, or why is it that you want to help people? From my perspective, is really understanding that. So seeking the why behind the what. And if you have a big enough why, you can endure any how. So sitting down and really trying to seek to understand. We talk about two different things: passion, in terms of what you love, and then purpose, as in how you can move forward and help people and exploit that moving forward. So I think sitting down, writing down why you want to be, or why you want to move towards where you want to move towards, asking yourself those questions. And then on the back of that, really structuring out a process to set goals and a clear path to where you want to actually go. We understand that the unconscious mind needs direction and needs to understand where to go, as it does run the mind 96% of the time, where the conscious mind is about 4%. So we need that plan. We need to understand where we're going to be going, and then how we're going to do it as well. So that structure is really, really important. And one other thing as well, on the side of that, understanding your why, having a detailed and structured plan, but then again, looking in and reaching out to those people who have gone through what you're going to go through to find that success. And then asking them and leaning into their expertise and experience, so that you can take all that information and then put it along your path as you're building towards your future.
Absolutely fabulous. And again, such a fabulous and eloquent way of describing that journey and that process. And I really love how you're so clear around it. It's about writing it down and understanding your own, where you're at now, how you've come to be where you're at now, and then looking at where you want to go and working through those actual steps of how to get there. Very similar to, it's funny, I can see the parallels of when you were doing exercise coaching to the mindset coaching, but with mindset, as you beautifully understood and pointed out, it's about the behavioural, which comes from the unconscious, retraining the unconscious around what you want to do. With that, what sort of obstacles do you find, so similar to weight training or exercise training? I'm sure with the mindset training, people that you're working with have, like some resistance and they don't really want to do it or get out of bed in the morning. What sort of tools or habits or suggestions do you have for them?
And before we move into the actual action steps, I think it's very important, and this is something that I've done in the past as well, to move towards where I want to go, is really seeking self-awareness, and then on the back of that, self-definition as well. Now we've heard self-awareness. I'm sure people have heard about that a lot. Self-awareness is obviously understanding who we are, and I went through that quite a bit as through COVID. A lot of quiet time, a lot of time with myself to really sit and reflect on who I am as an individual. Looking at not only just that in itself, but also emotionally, why do I get angry at these things? Why am I happy? What actually makes me feel in these certain ways? So understanding that person right here and right now, and then self-definition, really understanding in the past who I was as well. Who was I as a child? Who was I as a young adult? Who I am now, and then who I want to be moving forward. Looking back at who I was is really important to understand that, our stories from our formative years as children can really direct our beliefs, values, and then behaviors as well. And that could actually come to where we are now. And that's something that I did and something that I do now with my clients. So really get that first base structure and understanding of who you are, and then who you want to become, and moving forward with that. So that's one part of it. And I definitely like to start there and really just get that understanding. And then moving forward, as I said before, just really breaking down the why. What is your why? Where are you working towards? And then from there, the goals that you're trying to set to move towards. And I do think where we start with self-awareness and self-definition, again, is going to be going to lay the foundations, particularly for when you go and build your house, or that success that you want to look for.
So you've used the word or the term self-definition a couple of times there. Do you want to just explain to people a little bit more about what that is for you and what way that you're using it?
Yeah, so self-definition is looking back at your past, looking at your present, and then looking towards your future and how those three connect. So looking at your past, as I was saying, with regards to your stories and events that happened in your past and how those things come out in your behavior today. So we all behave in certain ways for certain reasons, and everybody acts in a certain way for a reason. And sometimes we can't articulate the reasons why, or we don't understand the reasons why. But if we can go back through those times and understand that, and whether that's finding out on your own, or speaking to your parents or your grandparents or your friends that you had back in those days, and generally people that influence you through those stories, it's going to be good for you to understand, okay, what stops me from moving forward? Okay, what stops me from being able to move outside my comfort zone? Okay, what keeps me within these limiting beliefs and these boundary conditions? And then being able to help yourself move forward from there into that self-definition of who do I want to become, and link those three together.
Wonderful. And I really love that flow and the clarity you have around the flow about where I've come from, who I am now, and where I'm going to, and defining it around self-definition. I think that's a really wonderful way of encapsulating that flow. And I think that awareness journey that you're describing is something that it's interesting in each generation, but now with the generation of the generation now is one of the terms that's being used quite a lot, but also the fact that there's so much comparison with online, and there's so much, instead of being your immediate social group, it's actually now the wider social group, and the comparison of where people are up to and what they're doing. And there's probably never been a better time to actually do that self-reflection like you're describing, to actually look at, well, this is where I've come from. And so in my life journey, I'm actually doing fabulous and fantastic from where I've been from and now and where I'm going to. And if that's, not as fantastic as somebody else, or more fantastic than somebody else, because it can be either way, then again, just recognizing that comparison doesn't really serve you with others, but it can serve you in comparing your progress and your growth against where you want to go in your own life journey. And so that's so wonderfully put, and so simply and beautifully put, of those three different stages: where you've come from, who you are now, and where you want to be going to.
Yeah.
And some sort of, what are some of the other suggestions that you use with clients, or with the people that you're working with, or even with yourself, to keep creating that mindset for success?
Yeah, and so that's what I started with, to really get that seeking to understand and being curious. I think that's a big one as well, being curious about those things. But physically moving towards those action-oriented things that we want to try and move forward to keep ourselves accountable. What I do is I have a diary, which I believe is something that has helped me move forward and keep myself accountable with my mindset and moving towards the goals that I want to achieve. And how I generally set up my diary is, whatever my goals is, I obviously break them down into small steps. And then I have 5 things that I want to try and commit to each day. Now, they could be big things, they could be small things, but those things are what will help me move towards my big goal each day. And on the other side of my diary, on the other page, I have counted 5 a.m., or I've written down, I should say, 5 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. And I write down what I'm doing each hour: 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., all the way down to 10 p.m. So I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly where I'm moving towards. And those 5 tasks are put into that day. And again, I talk about it quite often with my clients, with my students as well. When I talk to them about the unconscious mind needs direction, it needs to be able to follow a plan. Otherwise, it's too easy to fall back into habits. As we know, we tend to move towards a path of least resistance, and that's how the unconscious mind works. What's easiest? So if we don't have that plan and we don't move forward to make sure that we're ticking the boxes needed to get to where we want to get to, we can can be quite detrimental. So that's one thing that I really make sure that I do, my diary, and that's a discipline that I have every day. every night before I go to bed, I write that out, my 5 things. I write up my day for the next day. And really importantly, to really get that dopamine coming through, each time that I finish something, I cross it off and I tick it, not only in my 5 tasks, but also within each day. So even, for example, I write eat breakfast at 5 a.m. So I cross that off and I tick it to know that I've done that. And it might be something small, but yeah, it's really good to make sure that I'm moving forward and I'm ticking those goals. So that's probably a big one for me and for my clients that I try and talk to them about.
Fabulous. And I think you so beautifully encapsulated the attention to detail that you're reflecting, but also what we talk about a lot, which is microscopic steps. So something like ticking off that I've eaten breakfast, it may seem it may seem a little bit strange to people that you're going to that level of detail, but it is very much training the brain, and it can take many years in many cases to actually get to the point. If people think about it, to get to the point where it's a habit and you don't think about it. One of the examples I love to use is around brushing your teeth. Yeah. So people don't necessarily think about the fact that you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth. But if you change the hand that you use with the toothbrush, then you have to think about it. So that wonderful example, if you get up and you cross off at 5 a.m. I had breakfast, you now over years with that habit will get to the point where even if you took away the checklist, you would be so programmed to eat breakfast and then go look for the checklist to cross it off. And it's beautiful that you have such attention to detail and the microscopic steps. I do believe that if you change your thoughts, you can change the world. And these habits and tools are the ways of changing your thoughts, you know, instead of I can't get up at 5 a.m. because it's too early, it's too this, it's too whatever. You just start doing it, and then you become somebody that can get up and does get up at 5 a.m. and so on and so forth. Or, you know, I can't present in front of more than 2 people, or I can't go to a networking event with more than 3 people, and so on and so forth. Whatever area of discomfort it may be, once you start to do it, you can kind of do those fabulous incremental steps that you're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah, and I guess that in working with different clients and having had these experiences and kind of the self-testing laboratory, so you're using very much what works for you and going through that journey. What do you think then when people are really struggling with, you know, changes, whether it might be getting up at 5 a.m. or it might be even, like you're saying, ticking off those 5 tasks that you've done throughout the day? What sort of tools would you use or suggest to people when they do hear this and think, oh, okay, I can do that. I can write down a list and then stick to a list, and then they wake up the next day and all these things happen and they get to the end of the day and go, well, actually, I didn't do much on the list. What sort of tools do you use to help reframe that and to keep bringing it back to that pathway to building that success mindset?
Yeah, and something that I also do along with my diary is I have another diary, or it's a booklet that I write my goals in every day. So when I do my diary, okay, in the evening, I have my other diary that I write my goals in as well. And again, that just keeps me understanding of where I want to go and what I want to do. And in that as well, I again have those reasons why. What's the purpose? What's the reason for me moving forward? So it's always that reminder. And I say to my students when they become personal trainers that they must understand that when they have clients that come in and you're barraging them with, okay, we'll do this for nutrition and we'll do this for training and we'll do all these sorts of things, got to understand that when they leave, they've got so many other things going on. They got kids, they got the husband, they got wife, they got the boss, they've got, you know, even Netflix or whatever it may be that they've got to concentrate on. And, you know, we can only take so much information in at a time. And I think as personal trainers, we tend to think that, oh, well, they should be doing what they should be doing. But it can be quite hard.
They're paying us to tell them what to do and they're still not doing it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that comes down to there's so much stimulation outside and there's so much things going on. And that's where the whole, you know, I have no time, you know, I can't do this or that. And something that always tell my students and my clients is, it's not about time management. We can't stop time, we can't fast forward time, we can't rewind time. It's about self-management and how can you manage yourself in the time that you have. That's one thing that I do. I have my goals list, so I have that direction along with my list that I tick off every day. I also have, for me, I also have my own checklist on my fridge, like a checklist for my checklist, right? That's something that I do. And I also implement with my clients as well, to make sure that they're, holding themselves accountable. As I believe that, yes, as a coach, I need to help my clients with accountable, but I need to help them find accountability, because I believe that accountability is a personal responsibility, and we don't want to be outsourcing those things too much. We need to be able to find that for ourselves so that we can keep on moving forward long term to find the success that we want. So, yep, writing your goals down, writing down your why, and whether it's every day or whether it's every couple of days or whatever works for the individual. But one thing apart from writing it down, and I think this is something that we all should do, is really understanding the language that we not only say out loud about ourselves, but also internally as well. And we're looking at things like limiting beliefs. I can't do this, or this will never work for me, or I could never do that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that holds us back from being successful and keeping us in our comfort zone, because we just have that belief. So if we have that belief, we'll never be curious enough to try. So I get my clients to write down and well, first of all, catch themselves when they're speaking. And we do a few exercises in and around that, and then write down what this language is. And then we sit down and try uncover, where does it actually come from? Okay, what makes you say I can't, or what makes you believe you can't do this, or whatever it may be. So, writing the diary, writing your goals down and your why, and then having an exercise where we look at the language that we're using. And you'll sort of hear what I'm talking about. A lot of my stuff that I work with is all it's all before even we move towards action. We talk about, well, if we fall 10 times, we'll get back up 11 times. Well, let's fall the first time, and if we fall or we fail, remembering that there's no failure, there's only feedback. Let's actually find out what's going on. Okay, what's the reason that we can't move forward to do the things that we want to do? Let's figure it out, right? Whether it's self-definition, going back and seeking to understand past, present, and future, and then moving forward from there. So I think that's really, really important to seek to understand the language. Again, be curious about it, and then really find out what's going on in that space.
I love that last point about the language and the self-talk and what we tell ourselves. It's so critical and so important. I'm just imagining again, somebody going home like you were describing so beautifully and going, well, I really want to do, I just paid this person, they helped me, whether it's the PT or the mindset stuff, they helped me to work out my plan, and I want to go home and do the plan, and they walk out in the front door, and the kids are screaming, the dog's barking, etc. And that challenge then of the mindset of, well, I just can't do this, and I don't have time for me, let alone doing one of these tasks. And then those micro steps of really helping people to see, well, just as much as there's the voice about I don't have time and I can't do this, there's the voice that's sort of saying, well, where's the me in my day? Where's the time for me in these activities? And even if I do 1 out of the 5 today, then I've done the 1 out of 5, and then next week I'm going to go for 2 out of 5, and build it incrementally like that, and work with the coach or the support group or the friends or even the family. Work with everybody around, hey guys, I'm trying to do this program and I'm trying to do one thing a day, like, do I have 15 minutes where I can go and sit in the garden and have a cup of tea without everybody screaming at me that they want this or that or whatever it might be for that person, and just starting and taking it and knowing that it's going to be a little bit confronting at times with that voice saying, I can't, whether it's weight loss or the habits change or behaviours. And that I think you hit it really well, engaging people around you, because they will help if you ask them to help you with changing those behaviours, because they care for you and they want you to succeed. And so when you were talking about going to people that have trodden that path before and have that experience. I don't know how many mentoring programs I've been a part of, but it's been exactly that, because you want to help the people come after, not to go anywhere near the sorts of things you've gone through, and to cut through it, to make it easier for the people coming next down the path. So in terms of how people can get hold of you and the best way to reach out to you after the show, how can they contact you?
So Sean Buchanan on LinkedIn, SeanBuchanan.
Fabulous. And it does sound very Irish, Sean and Buchanan. I'm sure there's some Irish ancestry back in there somewhere.
Yeah,
and it's also interesting, given that you have a bit of a younger age group, I'd be really fascinated to hear what sort of advice you might give to your younger self.
Yeah, I have two that I'll give myself, and the first one would be to read more in my younger years, and read more books. Moving towards personal development. I think that would be the first thing. And I went through a bit of an experience when I was at school, in and around reading, which was when I was in year 8. We did a reading test in my class, and I found out that I was a couple of years behind everybody else. So I had to do some extra reading. When everybody else was doing their reading, I had to go into an office and do my own reading. And I fortunately caught up to everybody else. But in that time, I set up this story where I believed that, one, I hated reading, and two, I couldn't read. And that turned into my beliefs, my values, and that eventually worked towards my behavior. So I never read a lot when I was younger, and moving in towards becoming a personal trainer, only to find as a personal trainer and having passion for personal training and finding that purpose, I started to read a lot more, which is fantastic. So I would definitely try and eradicate that belief from myself and read more. So that's one. And then the other one, which we've spoken about quite often today, is about trying to make sure that you lean in and talk to those people who have done what you're working towards doing. I think I had a bit of a bit of ego when I was younger, as sometimes we can tend to have. And I used to think I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody. I know this and that. And, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you're so confident when you first learn something. And then, you tend to find out as you go through, you're like, oh, well, I actually don't know that much. And your confidence starts to go down. But I think, leaning into those leaders in your industry that you want to work, that are leading the way, and just reaching out to them, whether it's coaches, whether it's personal trainers, or whatever it may be, whatever field you're in, and really invest time and even money to an extent to make sure that you can fill those holes that you have, and gain that experience and that knowledge. And I think that's something that I would have done more so as in my younger years.
Fabulous, and I'm really excited, because I really do feel like this is a special moment in time, because you are still quite young, and you'll look back on this one day and go, oh my God, I was so insightful at such a young age. And two very good habits that you're already doing, reading a lot and reaching out to mentors. So I think the future is very bright, and I'm so excited to have had you on the show today, so that you could share some of those insights and some of your unique perspective and lens around building those habits and patterns and behaviours and transforming your life and your world through many of the wonderful specific techniques and tools that you've shared with us today. So thank you so much, Sean, for being on the show today.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
It's been wonderful having you. And to everybody watching, it's been another incredible half an hour of learning from another expert in the field. And for me, an extra special guest being another mindset specialist, and having you, the audience, here with us and to hear all this. But for now, from my heart to your heart, be great, be fabulous, and be you.